Welcome back to the second episode of the unemployment series, which we have come up with in the last episode from the last few days. So we are talking about unemployment disparity in India in the different states, in the different sectors, and in the nation as a whole, right? So for this episode, we are covering the disparity in the unemployment rates in India when it comes down to the different sectors, like the sector-wise disparity. So Nilamri, I'll just give a small brief that what exactly is happening in the different sectors in India. Like while at the time of the LPG, what we popularly known as the liberalization, privatization, and the globalization policy, we somehow got an idea that due to the injection of this LPG policy in the economy, we figured out that there was so much which could be done in the different sectors, namely the manufacturing as well as the service sector, right? See, primary sector was automatically active. India is well known for the primary sector, not advancements but engagement, right? So we were already having this much of growth in the primary sector, but when the LPG was injected in the economy, it was somehow found out that there is so much potential in these two sectors, the manufacturing and the service sector, which could be tapped out, and it somehow panned out so well that if you compare it with the current scenario, you can easily figure out the contribution of the service sector in the nation, right? Uh, the service sector being the leader, the IT sector, right? When we talk about the service sector as a whole, we talk about the IT sector in the most talked about manner, and the as we call it in the most layman terms nowadays, it's IT is the king of the service sector nowadays, right? In anything, anywhere is everything. It's IT. We are talking of IT in everywhere, right? Be it manufacturing, be it automobiles, be it anything. We are injecting IT in everything. Either we are injecting AI, either we are injecting ML, like machine learning, virtual reality, artificial intelligence. All these things are there. It's everywhere. We are surrounded by these things nowadays, right? And there's no secret that even the job seekers or the people seeking for unemployment are not using these things or are not equipped with these things, right? There's a talk going around in this current scenario that this chat GPT or the AI backed softwares or the platforms will eat up the jobs of so many people, right? So even when you scroll down to these things, you will figure out there's a huge list of jobs. There are a huge list of articles which tells that these are the jobs which are in danger due to the AI, right? Chat GPT. So all I'm trying to say is that all this differentiation along with the transformation of the digital transformation, like we are in the industry 4.0 stage, right? So all these things due to the disparate due to the transformation, we are having these things, but to some extent this is also creating some disparity in the unemployment rates, as well as these are creating a huge gaps in terms of employment criteria, as well as in terms of employment what is the utility of the employed person, right? How are the employers going to utilize those employees? So there are so many things which is changing at the same time, which is also leading the employers to which also giving the employers a very hard time to figure out whom to recruit and whom not to recruit, right? So without delving much more into the different aspect of it in the single sector, I would like to hear from you that your opinion. What is exactly is creating this disparity in different sectors when it comes to the unemployment rates?
See, I think the way we measure unemployment also differs across different sectors. And on the basis of that, we'll be able to say how much of unemployment prevails in each. Starting right from the agriculture sector, we see disguised unemployment is there the most because people have very less scope to switch to other jobs also like non-farm sector, as a reason of which so many of them get concentrated only on cultivation, harvesting, or like core farming jobs, and as a result of which the per output of a labor, the marginal output of a labor, some sort of remains constant, or worst case scenario, it diminishes. So I think that is how we measure unemployment in the agriculture sector. But if we take the example of non-farm sector in the rural boundaries itself, then I think the wages are comparatively higher than that of farming, and people still have a little scope of moving on to a more higher position, or sort of expanding their business, expanding their reach, moving to towns, etc. And again, coming to the manufacturing sector, I think there's a lot of disparity that exists between unskilled and skilled laborers in there. And in terms of everything, in terms of their wages, in terms of their working environment, safety, the social security they have, the sort of livelihood they have, I think there's a lot of difference. And for skilled workers, it is much more easier to sort of take a leap among industries, among different varieties of jobs, or even across the verticals, on the horizontal positions. But for unskilled laborer, it becomes much more difficult if they want to change their jobs, because they know they have been trained to do one particular thing, and apart from that, they might not know anything else. So it's either that job or nothing else for them. So I think there, for them, the employment they hold is much more violated, is much more, loosely connected, because most of them are hired on a contractual basis. So they do not have any secure form of employment. And again, migration might or might not fetch them some sort of good earning. So, that is how I think we can measure unemployment in the manufacturing sector. And coming to the IT sector, we keep on defining, or we keep on hearing all these news that so much of employment has been created in the IT sector in metropolitan cities. What we don't see is that this is very specific in nature. Not people of all, educational backgrounds can attain employment in the IT sector. It's very specific. And it's again like how we value GDP, that we cannot just look into the creamy layer, the top layer, and say that the country has been on the path of growth. We need to look at all the levels that make up GDP. And I think in the same way, when we talk about that, that's what happens when we talk about the service sector, especially, as you mentioned, the IT sector. That we talk only about the IT industry as such, but there are many more services. What about teaching? And lately, so many factors have been coming up regarding the academic and the teaching sector also, that we do need quality professors to come in. We do need people who are completely dedicated towards this one particular occupation, because their education has to be improved right from the grassroots levels. And comparatively, teachers are paid less than the people working in the IT sector. Or we talk about social service workers, about doctors, about community health, etc. So many other streams also come into the service sector, but we always highlight the IT itself. And if we look into them, unemployment still exists. People still struggle to find a place for themselves in a metropolitan city, the ones which are mostly known for the IT sector that they hold. So, as rightly mentioned, the way we measure unemployment in each sector also plays a very important role, because it's, it defines the skill levels, the wage levels, etc. And IT is also, one of the services that India trades in most. So we can clearly say that the demand for IT sector is so much, so that explains the higher wages. And the same thing goes on for other sectors too. If the demand is more, then the demand for labor will also be more. And again, coming to the manufacturing sector, if much of labor is being replaced by machinery and AI, so obviously the demand for labor will go down, and they would end up having just compromised wages. And that would also, and if people think that they do not deserve such wages, they would drop out of the employment. So, and then they would be left with no wages at all. They would not be even considered in the the population of people who are employed. So that also sorts of, I think, leads to unemployment.
Exactly. So, putting forward one more point, as you mentioned about the agriculture sector, that there is this guy's employment, right? So, along with the disguised unemployment, which one type of unemployment which is very common in this agriculture sector is the seasonal employment. You mentioned about the seasons,
Yes.
that there are several activities. The harvesting season is there, the sowing season is there, the threshing season is there. So all those things are there. So what happens exactly is that these agricultural activities are usually driven by the several seasons. They don't employ people for the whole year, but they employ people as per the seasons. And this is something which is seasonal and which is which is taking shape in the agriculture sector, the seasonal unemployment thing. And this is one thing which needs to be addressed for, like, it can't be addressed in some way, but yes, there should be some alternative sources of employment which could be there in that particular area, in the agriculture area specifically, so that all those people who are suffering due to the seasonal unemployment gets something to, they are not dependent wholly for the seasonal months to get something, get earn bread, but yes, they should also have some other things so that they can earn bread throughout the year, right? And when you talk about the manufacturing sector, you talked rightly about the labor shift, right? There is a huge amount of labor shift in the different industries. But when we talk about the machines, it's rightly said that when you any physical capital can't be run without the human capital, right? So, but this is very undermining for these industries to understand, right? They are not unable to understand this simple basic notion that yes, you can inject so many machines, you can install several amount of machineries in your factories and plants, but you can't make them run without the human capital. You need to get you need to get the skilled as well as the unskilled human capital, right? That's why the HR is the most important sector which comes in. We talk about HR has become a corporate term nowadays, but it's very basic term. Human resource is the most basic term of an economy. Whenever you want to move forward in an economy, you need to have HR in place, right? HR, when we talk about HR, it's very, it's a very trendy term. But when we talk about human resource, nobody talks about human resource, right? It's HR. So it needs to be, the focus needs to shift down from the HR to human resource so that the skilled as well as the unskilled labor are addressed. And they are also, it's not that the gaps between the skilled and the unskilled labor should, squeeze a bit so that yes, the disparity should be there. The disparity in the income should be there because that's the main difference between the skilled and unskilled labor. But the thing is, it needs to be organized. It's still unorganized in several industries. And when we talk about IT, you rightly pointed out that there are so many employment generation. There is so much employment generation in the IT sector, right? But at the same time, we also see the most number of layoffs in the IT sector as well. While other sectors might strike down 50 employees, 100 employees, or sometimes 500 employees, and it's a single IT company is firing 10,000 employees, 2,000 employees, 3,000 employees. So the figure, it is an exponential number when it comes down to the unemployment figures in the IT sector as compared to the different other sectors, like uh, the same sectors, when you talk about service sector, the banking and other sectors. So what exactly is happening there? There the posts are vacant. The several posts are vacant in the different industries, specifically namely banking, medical, and all those areas, teaching as well. But why isn't that is those posts are getting filled up? It's a big question because it's not the scenario that if say for example 5 lakh or 7 lakh people are giving the exams, appearing the sitting for the post, it's not it's see, it can't be possible logically to to get a sense of it that out of this much people, 3,000 or 2,000 posts are not getting filled, right? Only skilled people might be giving the exams, right? Unskilled people can't even write. The thing is that most of the unskilled jobs are unskilled labor are of those sectors who are not getting the education on time, and all those things are there. So it's a clear scenario that all those people appearing for those jobs, teaching, medical, and these banking sectors, are well educated and all those people. So why isn't those posts being filled till now, right? So there are so many other factors which comes into play, but that is not something we are bothered about in this session. So narrowing down our points that as we talked about, right, the different sectors, the disparity is clearly there and it is clearly highlighted. We can clearly sense it. We can also give a small link up between the different disparity in state and disparity in sectors. When we talk about the employment generation in the agriculture sector and the IT sector in the state of Bihar, right? When we talk about employment generation in the IT sector in Bihar, it's very less, right? And in terms of agriculture, it is huge. But the yield what a person should get, it's not there, right? And a person living in Bangalore will all the time prefer for an IT job, right? And it's there. So many, it's almost the IT hub of nation. But a person who is looking for a job might not be willing to take up a job below 30,000 in Bangalore, right? Because the cost of living is high. So this is also one thing which needs to be taken in mind, that disparity in sectors is prevalent in the states in the nation, but disparity in state plays a very big role in this particular thing. And it is very known fact that in a state which has so many industries, you'll get so many industrial jobs, but it might not be possible that you'll get the agriculture jobs over there, right? It has been made in such a way that any nation is built in is spread out in such a way that everything is having some concentration in some areas. But despite of that, we are not having a parity in terms of employment, right? We need to have a parity that yes, people from this sector, if they are looking for jobs in this sector, if they are having skills of this sector, this they are getting the employment in that particular area, right? It's not happening. So I don't know when this thing is going to be resolved, but yes, we can definitely look forward to having some changes, some positive changes. And just talking about this disparity thing, I guess we have almost covered this unemployment disparity in the sector wise. We have also covered the inter and the intra-state disparities. So I hope the guys, the people who are watching this video might get a sense of it, and will try to think from a different perspective and seeking employment, and might reduce the unemployment disparities in the different sectors. And Nilamri rightly pointed out that it's not only about it's not only about the jobs which is there, right? It's also about the eagerness to join. So we can also
Definitely.
we can only get a disparity in anything if we have the eagerness to resolve that, right? So guys, thank you so much for being there. We are very blessed to have you for the second episode as well, and we'll look forward to having you in the next episode, which will be the last episode in this unemployment disparity series, which will be which will be focused on the impacts. What are the impacts of unemployment, and what could be the possible hazardous impacts, or the what you can say the dark side of the policies if the policies are not put forward in a proper manner. We rightly mentioned in the previous episode that in the particular in this year's budget, the effect of Manrega has been struck down a bit, right? So all those things will be covered up in the last episode. Thank you so much for being with us, and we look forward to having you in the next episode. Thank you so much, guys. This is Rayan signing out, and this is Nilambari.
We'll come to you with a different perspective in the next episode. We'll let you know what are the current scenarios, what are the current trends with unemployment, the reasons behind it, and what can we look forward.
All right. Thank you, guys.